Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and look at what we have here. A beautiful but faulty SONY Trinitron portable TV. So this is a little colour TV from 1980. I just googled it and apparently it was made for executive desks and cars as well. It is beautiful, really, really nice. So this was given to me to try and fix by Elliot from the Retro Future, and he got it, I believe, from Japan, so I'm presuming he got it from Sendico. And he says that the display is not working, and he thinks, well, no, the colours are not working, and he thinks it's capacitor related. But I've just been testing, and no, it's not. But there is other issues on this that does need fixing. So I'm hoping it'd be quite an interesting video. I'm thinking the inside of it is going to be completely full, so I don't reckon there's going to be any spare space at all on the inside, but it is a lovely little bit of engineering. Everything about it just feels very high quality. So it is a little CRT TV, so a cathode ray tube in here, so obviously 1980 old technology, but I'm sure I can't find the price of one of these. There's none of them on eBay, and when I Google it, nobody's selling them, but I think they would go for quite a bit of money. So I presume it didn't come with the power supply because Elliot has done his own one here, and it's centre pin negative, not positive, hence the reason why he's just swapped over the wires here to make the positive on the outer pin when it comes to this here. Now, little things to note, which is just so nice. Look at the aerial here. You push a button in here, it comes out, and you think, well, that's going to be a bit weird sticking out there, but look, it lifts up there. How nice is that? The aerial is missing the top, so that's unfortunate, but you would be able to buy a new aerial from there to there if, I presume they do make them in those measurements there. Elliot can always buy that himself anyway. In this video, I just want to get it working. So, but that's a nice little touch. And we have two display levels because you want it pointing upwards. And there's a little button just here, and you press that in, and it locks into that position there. And we also have one more level, so you can see it's moved up there. Press it again, lift it up, and it goes to that position there. How nice is that? Look at that. That's great for anybody's man cave. And there's a load of buttons down here for colour, hue, vertical hold, picture, etc. So let me turn it on, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to hook up my Nintendo Switch to it, and I'm going to show you what I found. So basically, I'm going to plug this in here, and sure enough, when it's on and you plug something in, it is like monochrome. It's like an old Spectrum game, but that isn't the fault. So if you look at this here, there's a little tuning wheel just down here. The model number of this is KV-4P1, but look at this little manual little wheel here for tuning, and look at that red line going across. How nice does that look? That just looks beautiful. Yeah, but check this out. When I connect up my Nintendo Switch, so we're going to connect up that to there, and I'm going to connect the audio into the back there. Watch this. Can you see now? Let me just do the vertical hold. There we go. So that's what Elliot's saying. Look at that. Can you see? It's remember, it's a CRT, so you're going to get weird kind of refresh rates when I'm filming on my camera. But if I take off a Joy-Con, you can see it is displaying, but it's monochrome. But check this out. Remember, this is from Japan, and in Japan they use NTSC. Went into my phone. Japan uses the NTSC, National Television System Committee video standard, so it's not PAL. And you see, at the moment, this is going to be coming up as PAL. But check this out. If I just come back off that, so you can go to the main screen. If you have a look at this little adapter that I'm using, so I'm using this little HDMI to composite out adapter. It has a little button here for PAL and NTSC. And if I do that to NTSC, boom, look at that. We suddenly have colour. It's jumping around, so let me do the V-hold again. Boom, look at that. How nice does that look? Look how clear it is. Remember, I can't see that with my eyes. That's the refresh rate of the camera. Let me bring that right down. How beautiful is that? Doesn't that look so nice? Look at it. But there's no sound coming out. And there's other issues as well. So forget about the fact now that it's the display. The reason it's not displaying in color is because you need to have an NTSC source because it's a Japan TV. So yeah, that's not the issue there. But look at this. These buttons at the front do absolutely nothing. So this is supposed to be for your channel. And this one here says, I think it says indicator. And this one here says band select. They're not doing anything. And they're not even springy. They're just kind of, they just feel like dead buttons. They don't seem to do anything. Power button works, but these don't do anything. Also, there's no sound coming out. So when I move it around, I should have sound because I've got it plugged in from here and I've got it going into the back here. And we have a volume here. We've got volume going up. So if I put volume right the way up, and if I take my Joy-Cons off, we should have sound, but we haven't. So there's no sound coming out whatsoever. So that's a problem. Also, I noticed this looks like a headphone jack. Now, instead of headphones, it's actually got a picture of an ear, which is kind of nice. There you go. Can you see that little ear there? When I plug in headphones, because I thought, would I have any sound via the headphones? That jack, look at that jack. It just falls in. So there's a fair bit of work that's come. I think that's come completely away from the board. But anyway, even when I do plug it in, right the way in there, I'm still not getting any sound out of the headphones. So it does need a little bit of work. We need to take off the bottom here, see if we can maybe solder back on this headphone jack. Also see what's happening here. So I don't know if it's been dropped or something, but none of these buttons seem to be doing anything. So it should be interesting. Now, it's only fed with 12 volts to get this working, but I've still got to be really careful because this is CRT. So I think there's going to be stupidly high voltage in here. So I've got to be very careful. I might not have to get involved in the top part. Fingers crossed I don't. I'm hoping I can do all my fixing down here. So basically in this video, I'm going to try to get the headphone jack working and I'm going to try to get these buttons working. Maybe when we get the headphone jack working, the speaker will automatically start to work because maybe the speaker's not working because maybe it thinks there's a headphone jack plugged in. Possibly, not too sure. But I hope that's coming across in the camera how nice that looks. Right, okay, let's get started. Right, so you must be able to hit the front of the buttons because otherwise you wouldn't be able to use it like that. But then when you open it up by pressing this button here, you have the option, I presume, to hit the top as well. But none of them, they don't even feel clicky. Unless, of course, they're supposed to be done by capacitance or something. You know, when you touch them, that it knows you've touched them. But I don't know. We won't know that until we take it off. But they're definitely not doing anything. Right, okay. First of all, let's just have a quick look at the aerial just to make sure that it is going to be easy for Elliot to get another one. Is that an angle? Yeah, it's at a slight angle. There we go. Oh, right, so we have some washers there as well. Must be one either side. Let's pop those back before I lose them. So there you go. So it is possible to get one. But I don't know whether that's been bent or whether that's supposed to be like that. But when you buy one, it's going to be straight, isn't it? And then you'll be able to bend it. But I think it will also, it would just fit in straight as well. That would just turn around more. So yeah, that'd be fine. Right, let me get these back in. So it's got to do one either side. There we go. Right, let's start at the bottom. Now, I don't know if it had some rubber pad or something here originally, not sure. There's quite a lot of sticky residue here, but it's not sticky anymore. Mind you, these look like little felt pads here, but they're below the plastic unless there was kind of felt feet originally. Now, what are you going to uncover? Are you clipped as well? Here we go. Right, we're out. Oh, look at that. Even the colour of the board somehow looks 80s. So when you press, oh wow, look. What's going on there then? These are micro switches. How does that even go down to hit them? It doesn't go down far enough. There's not enough travel on here. Do you know what I mean? Do you reckon there should have been some kind of pad going along here? Wait a minute. So when you... None of these are working. But they're all rock solid. They don't press in. Very strange. They're plastic, so they can't be conductive. I'm just wondering if they're like, you know, is it called capacitive touch? Let's have a little look just to make sure that that is actually plastic. It looks plastic to me, some sort of nylon. Right, let's just go on to continuity. I just want to go on the plastic bit, see if it's doing anything. No. Well, that's a bit of a mystery there. Not quite sure what's happening there. It looks like the board needs to go much higher, but again, the switches don't go in. Do you know what? I'm really confused about that there. So let's start undoing some screws, see if we can get to the headphone jack and see maybe if we can fix that, and then hopefully I might start to understand more. Ah, do you know what, the headphone jack? I don't think it is soldered on. I think there should be a little nut holding it on here. That's missing. I think that wire has something to do with the headphone jack. Now, how do you come out? There we go. Right, let's take that off. That looks like it's stuck in, so we might have to use a bit of double-sided tape on that. Right, I'm going to undo these two screws at the back, and that might loosen the jack, which then might allow this to be pulled away. There may well be a service manual for this, but when I googled it, there didn't seem to be much information at all. So I think I'll struggle to find one. Oh, there we go. So that's going to pull away from there. So there's a load of wires there that's holding that in. Well, I think I might be free now once I get this power button done. There we go. Right, okay. So the headphone jack is definitely wired in. So I need to get a little screw for nut for that, which I know I'm not going to have. I don't know. I'll have to have a look around some old stuff, see if I've got any anything that will screw onto that. I know it's going to be massively common, but if I haven't got one, I haven't got one. Right, so there's not much I can do there. I've got to feed it. Well, mind you, why sound? Why is the speakers not working? Why is sound not working on this? So the speakers are going to be built in up here. And I presume the sound's going to be travelling down one of these, two of these massive bundle of wires here. Right, so the volume control, can you see here, is going all the way down to here. So this is the actual volume here. Unless, of course, the slider's gone. I wonder, could we go between here and here and see if we get some sort of resistance reading? It might work, I'm not sure. It seems to be very big jumps. It goes from 5 ohms, I move it a tiny bit, 15,000, 40,000. Yeah, maybe, I'm not too sure. It's doing something. Well, I think we somehow need to undo this stuff up here. There we go. Right, that must be that switch there. Okay. Well, we have a little bit more room to play with now. Looks like we have, you know, 2 prongs on each switch. So it should just be on and off. Right, let's go on to those 2 prongs and see what they're doing. Right, so we have nothing there. Let's try to press it in and then hold it. Still got nothing there. No, very strange. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's any videos on YouTube of this device, and if they're kind of pressing that to see if it makes like a clicking noise. But I don't think it's going to, I think this is one item that will not be on YouTube. Well, surprisingly, there is actually a couple of videos on it, and one of them, I can see that they're using this one here, but I can't tell if it's clicky or not. But on another video from a long time ago, they said that they're tactile switches and they're known to collapse, so it's a known issue. So what I'm wondering is, how is this installed on here? Oh, here we go, little screw. If I was to undo the screw, if I can take the plastic off, I wonder if there's a way that we can take apart the tactile switches to get them to work again. Oh, and it's just the LEDs here. Right, okay, I can pop them out. There we go, fantastic. Right, okay. So now I suppose we better unsolder one of these. So we've got S903, S904, S902, S901. And let's see if there's any way that we can get them operating, because I presume they're supposed to be up here and then press and pop back up again. So let's unsolder and see what it uncovers. Presume this is going to be leaded solder. Oh, it's got that nice smell. The smell of old electronics. So 1980, so we're looking at 45 years old. That's crazy. Right, okay. We are out. Let's see if we can open this. I'm going to get rid of this so I don't break anything. Let's see if there's any way I can open this up. Right, so it's sealed from the top, isn't it? Yep. If I'm honest, I don't think it's going to be repairable, but it'd be nice to see why they failed. Is there just going to be a little metal disc on the inside that's just been pushed flat? Here we go. No way, I managed to get in. Oh wow, look at that, that looks well made, doesn't it? Look at that. Right, now, what have you got here? Ah, that's broken. Ah, that little bit's come out. Can you see there? Oh, what a shame. So it couldn't press that. So that must be a carbon pad, and that presses down onto, well, mind you, that's very small there. Does the outer one? Is that carbon there as well? Because it needs to make a contact between both buttons, doesn't it? Sorry, both bits here to make the contact. I was expecting to see some sort of metal disc. How does it spring back? Is it like a kind of speaker thing? How does that spring back, I wonder? First things first, let me just see if that's conductive. No, let me see if it's got resistance on it. Because maybe it's not a dead short that it works on. Maybe it's like, you know, like 200 ohms or something. I wasn't expecting it to be that high. Yeah, 8,000 ohms. So it's like a carbon, you know, like a carbon button press. So how would you even replace these? Because a tactile switch normally is a full short, while this isn't. So it's obviously looking for like, you know, 10,000 ohms or something. You don't really, why do you need the middle bit? Because that's going to be making the short there anyway. I don't understand how it gets pushed back up. Right, let me get a resistance reading off that. No, I don't think I'm going to have any luck here. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can still plug a phono into it and you know, get it to work. You don't need these buttons at the front. It just would have been nice if we can get sounds. That would be the main thing. Yeah, so it's like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 ohms, that sort of range. Now 3,000. Okay. Maybe originally it was really soft, like a rubber membrane. And maybe it's gone hard and brittle over time. And maybe it was this, because can you see it's like shaped like a speaker in a way. So I think originally that maybe you could push that in and it pop out again with this bit here in the middle, because that bit is ever so slightly big. It still doesn't seem to make sense though, because these were really far away from the, you know, even when you had them pressed down, they didn't seem to push this right the way to the bottom. I'm going to say that I won't be able to fix it because you're going to need to buy new buttons. I'll have a look. I'll type in something like 10,000 ohm tactile switches just to see if anything comes up. But I think that's the problem. I think originally that would have been like soft and springy to touch. Just wondering if I was to get a spring, a tiny spring in here, and glue that to the end of it, I wonder would that give it the springiness it needed to pop back. What I could use is a spring bar from a watch. Try to glue that onto the end. Because if that button can touch all the time, because it's only making contact with there, unless of course it was a bit misaligned, it made contact with both. But if you were lucky and it stayed in the middle there, mind you, it's just going to wobble everywhere, isn't it? For the purpose of the video, I'll try. And then you see, if you could just let it rest there, then when you push the button down, the outer bit's going to contact, and then it's going to come back up again because of the spring. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? I think I might look. Let me just have a look for 10,000 ohm tactile switches. No, not that I can see. But I suppose, in theory, if you had the right size, could you not use just a normal tactile switch, but then instead of soldering these to the board, if you were to drill out the hole completely on one of them, and then if you were to attach a 10 ohm resistor to this, then go onto the board, 10,000 ohm resistor, when you press it, it's going to make the contact but go through the 10,000 ohm resistor, or 5,000 ohm, or whatever you need. Maybe it could be a way that you could do it. I hope that makes sense. So you press the button here, it's a full contact, but it's not a full contact on the board because you've drilled out one of the holes of the PCB, and then from the tip here, you've then got a resistor going to the PCB. So as far as the PCB is concerned, all it sees is 10,000 ohms between the board here and this leg. Right, let me see if I've got any. It's also tiny, look at that. Let me see if I've got any little springs. Right, I do have some spring bars. I'm not sure. I think they're all the same width, it's just different lengths. I don't need it to be long, I can cut the spring anyway. Problem is, it's just going to be too wobbly. is going to be too small. I'm not going to have any springs bigger because a biro spring is going to be too big. So I tried to widen up the spring a little bit by forcing it onto the probes of my multimeter, and then I used super glue to glue the spring into the middle of this little white button, and then I put the carbon pad on the other end of the spring. The problem is it's super glue just ends up getting everywhere. It's all over my fingers, it's all over the button, it goes all over the carbon. It's not that easy to do. Again, it might look big on screen, but in reality, dealing with this, I mean, it's a spring off a spring bar. And look at the spring bar on your watch. It's not exactly big, is it? And I'm having to try to manipulate that into position and stuff, so it's not that easy. So anyway, my first attempt is a complete joke, but then I think to myself, well, hold on. Why do I need to glue the carbon little pad onto the end of the spring? Why can't I solder the spring into the middle of the contacts and then let the carbon button, the outer circle, come down and touch the metal pads on the bottom of the switch? That would be a better job, and the spring would force it back up. So forget about attempt number one. It just ends up in a big glued mess, as you can probably see from me fast forwarding through this now. Honestly, more super glue goes on my fingers than anywhere else. Let's pick up the video where I unsolder the second switch, and let's see if the theory works on the second switch. Right, now we're working with a fresh switch. Let's see if we can be more successful. Look, so it comes out much easier if you just do that. Let's have a close look here. And the middle bit's gone again. There you go, it's popped through. Right, let's see now how this is going to work. Right, there's a bit of spring there. I think the problem on this one is the rubber bit that's gone inside here is kind of impeding the spring a bit. So, yeah, anyway, let's pop this in. Ooh, look at that. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to stay. It's definitely springing back. I think I'm going to just I'm just going to melt this bit ever so slightly, just a tiny bit, because I don't want to foul anything on the inside. I want to try to just stop it from popping out. There. Now I wonder, are we going to get a reading, or is the solder going to impede it? Let's see. Woo! It's working. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's put that into this one, because I think this is going to be the button that's most used. Let's have a look at what the buttons are. So we've got band select and channel. So I've already messed up this button here, so we definitely can't have indicator. Should we put this one band select? Right, now it's soldered in, let's see if we've still got an ohms reading on it. So it seems to be 10 ohms without it being pressed. 5 ohms, do you know what, it might work. Let's see. Again, I just don't know if the tolerances are going to be there when we put this on. Alright, here goes. Now, hopefully, I'm going to be able to hit that switch on here. Plug that in, that's not going to short, no. I want to keep my hands well away from everything now, apart from this button here. So, turn on. Oh, okay, we've got a red light here, but I think we always had a red light. How are you going to see this now? Oh, red light went off, but no other lights came on. Oh, here we go. It went to yellow. Red. Green. Red. Very hit and miss. Green. And also I'm doing it with my finger. Green. Oh, we got a green line here. I know you can't see it. We've got a green line here now. That's clever. No line. Red line. So that is nice. It gives you a corresponding thing. I can't seem to get the yellow lights up. Thing is though, it's not working when we do this here. So I think the idea was good behind it, but it's just way too hit and miss. I mean, I'm going directly on the button, so I can apply as much force as I want. And it seems to be changing maybe 1 in every 6 goes. Imagine now when I'm using the little metal button at the front, I don't think you're going to be able to control the pressure as much because it can only press so far down. So it isn't even a good fix when I put my finger straight on the white button on the little tactile switch. I don't think it's going to work at all when you use the metal button at the front. So let's pick up the video where I go over to my idea about using a tactile switch, you know, one that gives you a full short. When you press it down, you're going to have like a 1 ohm short or less. And let's do it with a resistor. Now, I don't know what resistors to use because as you've seen, when you go on the carbon tracks, it seems to be different depending on how far away you have your probes. But I've seen 3,000 ohms, I've seen 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. This one here seems to be about 5,000. So I just pick a random resistor out. I'm going to go for 5,600 ohms. Put down in the comments what you would put in. Would you put in a 1,000 ohm resistor or would you go with a 5,000 ohm one? I'm not sure how much difference it's going to make. So we're going to now put little tactile switches in with a resistor on them, and hopefully that's going to fool the TV into thinking it's got the original switches in there. So I've got a 5,600 ohm resistor and I've just put it in here. So you can see what I've done. I've got these little switches are full short. So when you click them in, they give a full short. Now I think that's going to cause a problem, hence the reason why there was carbon there. So what I've done is, if you have a look here, can you see just temporarily I've just wired it up to the back of that switch. I've still got the switch on the other side, and then I've got a wire there with the resistor there, and hopefully you can see that. So it goes through the switch, through the resistor there. So now I'm going to turn it on, again keeping my hands well clear of everything else. I'm going to plug that in there. Let's see if this is an option now to you know, so we've got a red light here. Let's see, is it going to work? And I can see a red, you're just going to have to take my word for it. I don't want to keep lifting it up in case I get a shock, but you can see a red line there. Right, let's see now, are you going to swap? Yes, brilliant. Can you see we now have yellow? We've got a yellow line here. green. Little things like that I really like. I mean, it's no big deal, but it just gives you an indication of what you're on here. It's lovely that they made the effort to change the colour on here. Well, so it looks like the 5.6 ohm resistor's doing its thing. See? Brilliant. Okay, now I've got an idea about how I can possibly do this, and it doesn't matter that I've messed up this one here really. I've made a little bit of work for myself, but we can all agree that the switches here are gone. Now, if we're looking at the height of the switch here, what I'm wondering is, how about if I just do this? These are ones that have a 5mm lid. You can get all different heights. Obviously, if I had them, I'd probably buy one where it's like a 15mm lid if they come. But I'm thinking I might get away with just doing this. How about if I cut away the white thing, and if I was just to glue this straight on the top here, can you see we're nearly at the same sort of height? Yeah? So I think when I click that one down, because remember this is already depressed, that's already depressed, it would have stuck up more than that originally. So let's put it up to its normal height. I think that might be it. Oops, did I knock it down again? See what I mean? There's not much in it, is there? Yeah, so I think that's going to work. I think that's going to work fine. So that's what I do. It's not rocket science, but you know, sometimes the simpler ideas are the best. So rather than trying to dismantle each switch and put in springs and stuff in there from spring bars, I think this is going to work an absolute treat. So I just have to glue on the old switch, and then I'm going to put my tactile switch on top of that. On the other three, I'm going to chop off the white plunger, and I'm just going to glue the switch onto that. There will be a few people out there saying, ooh, it's not original. Obviously, everything's replaceable here. If you can buy these switches somewhere, somebody can still unsolder what I've done. It's not a big deal, and just put the correct switches in. But I think they might be hard to find. But you know what? If this was your industry, maybe there's a certain name for them, and maybe they're in abundance out there. But anyway, I'm trying to make do with what I have. So while I'm waiting for the glue to go off, I just turn my attention to the little volume slider, because remember, we haven't actually got volume on this. And yeah, when I kind of work out the contacts on it, one side will give you, for example, if the slider is right the way up, it will give you maybe 4 ohms, and then right the way down, 40,000 ohms. And then if you go on to other contacts, it will be the reverse of that. If you have the lowest volume possible, it will be 4 ohms, and it will go up to 40,000 ohms. I put my second favourite product in the world after isopropyl alcohol, that is Deoxit, in there. Deoxit fader, mind you, expensive aerosol, still waiting for my sponsorship all these years later, and spray a little bit of that in there. I also spray a bit into each of the other little pots as well that do the colour, the hue, the brightness, etc. Not sure if any of it goes in there. The slider switch for the volume is open, so it's definitely going to sit in there, but I think the other pots might be all enclosed, but I put a little squirt in there because I've got it in my hand. And then I put the resistors and the wires on. Luckily with the resistors, I can actually poke it through the holes that the switch go through. You know, the 2 little prongs that go through the through holes on the board? There's enough room to slide my resistor through there. So that's nice and neat. I don't have to wrap the wires around the board at all. It's just a nice direct route right the way through. But then for the other side of the switch, I do have to go with a little blue wire to the other side of the board. But it's fine. There's plenty of room around this board. The item itself is cram-packed full of electronics, but this bottom board at the front has quite a bit of room around it, so that's good. These switches work on diagonals. If you imagine an X, they work top left to bottom right, or top right to bottom left, and when you press them in, it joins the X's together, so joins the point of the X together. So I run the resistor to, for example, the top left, and then the wire from the bottom right. So let me show you that when it's all done. Obviously this probably took me about half an hour or so, but not too long. It was nice and easy to do. Okay, so they're all soldered up now. I'm actually very happy with it if it fits in the case. So you can see resistor straight through onto that one there, blue wire goes round to there, and then we have the blue wires here going round, and the resistors straight through the holes to there. So they're all working quite nice. Right, let's plug it in. See now, at the very least, if we have this lights moving here, because I'm not sure what should happen with these ones. And if it does work, we've got to move on to the sounds, which, to be honest with you, I think I'm going to really struggle with, because I don't know even how to get into the case here. Right, here we go. So we're on red there now. So let's just press it from the top. And we want to yellow. Brilliant, and we've gone to yellow there. I'm worried though, why? Oh, is it because something's missing? Oh, maybe I have to put this switch here to there. Maybe it will work now. Ah, yes, now it works. Right, okay. So, don't shut myself. See the yellow line there? Now when I move this here, it's moving. Love that. And now press this in. It goes to green. We've got a green one here. That's moving. Oh, look, now it's moving. Oh, wow, it does work. Look, that way. So that's scanning for channels, which you're not going to get now because they're analog. Look at that. Brilliant. What does indicator do, I wonder? Right, let's go into this one. Yeah, that does that one. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what indicator does, but 100% they're moving. Right, okay, that's all good. Now, I have to find out what is happening with the sound, because we should have static right now. We haven't got anything. Let's plug a jack into here. It is possible that this might have failed, and you know, it thinks a headphone jack's plugged in all the time. Let's turn this on. See if we have anything. So when you plug it in there, that separates. So if that was dirty, it would think it's always separated. But we haven't even got any sound now. Oh no, I hope it's not going to be like an audio chip, because we should have sound now, shouldn't we? Let's kill power. Let's just check for continuity on that switch. So I don't think it's a speaker thing now, because if it was a speaker, it wouldn't. It would still work through the headphone jack. The fact it's not working through the headphone jack is worrying. So we have what looks like the yellow one going to the white maybe. Let's zoom in. I need to tidy things up a bit. Let's see if we can work out what's happening. So we should have continuity between these two, which we do. And then when you plug the jack in, that opens up, and then we don't have continuity. So plug that in there, you will see that this will open up at the back there. And now we're not going to have continuity between the yellow and the white. So basically, when the yellow and the white have continuity, it should cut the sound to the speaker. There, no continuity there. Unplug it. We have continuity. So where do they go to? Ooh, they go up into here, I believe. Because when I'm pulling here, it looks like it's going up into here. I think we need to take the body off here. Maybe it will become obvious when we get to here. It might be as simple as a broken wire. Right, let's start with the screws at the back. That might release something. I've got to be careful because there is a CRT in here. I'm going to just undo that screw there. Right now, to me, that looks very scary there. I can see a massive red cable. So I'm very worried about touching in here, if I'm honest with you. Can I lift this up? Can't actually see what it's getting caught on. Looks like it's had a bit of a drop here. Well, here we go. So I just lifted that out there and now it seems to want to come. Don't know why. Am I caught again? Yes. Right, so there's something here. Maybe it's this thing which is catching. Oh, wow. It certainly is RAM packed with stuff, isn't it? Right, okay. I've got to be so careful here because I should be discharging something, but I'm not quite sure what to discharge. So I'd rather just not touch it. Speaker, where are you? Imagine if after all this it hasn't got a speaker. Here we go, here's the speaker. Right. Okay, this is the speaker. Look at that. Ooh, that's the CRT there. You've got to somehow discharge that. I just don't want to. Now, speaker. Where would the speaker connections be, I wonder? Is there any way that I can get access to this? Look, they look like they're for tuning, but they're not. That must be done at the factory. Because there's nothing on here, is there? To tune. So the headphone jack goes to these two, I think it was. Should double check that. Yeah. These two here. So these two, I wonder, would this pull out without shocking me? Yes, you will. There we go. Right, okay. Right, so what we'll do is let's check for continuity just in case there's a bad connection. So headphone jack is all the way down here. I'm on continuity, so I'm on the white wire, which is going to that one there. And it's going to the yellow wire because it's shorting through. Right, okay. We definitely have continuity there. I'm just going to Google whether a 12 volt CRT or a pocket, a Watchman, has ridiculously high voltage on the CRTs. AI overview, but yeah, monochrome CRTVs require 21 to 24.5 kilovolts, and color CRTs, which this one is 24 to 32 kilovolts. Well, I could learn how to discharge a CRT, but I think this would be a tough one to begin with because I've got to, I'd probably have to get into that there. So it's not the sort of CRTs are not really things I'm ever really going to be working on. So that's why I'm trying to do this without learning how to discharge them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo these 4 screws here. Well, no, actually, I'll leave those. I'll undo this screw here and this screw here. You never know. It might lever up and out. And that way, then I might not have to get involved in any high voltage. So obviously it goes without saying, never copy what you see in these videos. If you want to learn how to work on CRTVs, there's probably loads of good channels out there that work on them to show you how to safely discharge them. On my channel, I try something different in just about every single video, so I'm out of my depth in everything. So take it more for just kind of like trying to problem solve. An average Joe, an average dad just trying to problem solve, rather than being an expert in absolutely anything, because I know somebody who knows about CRTs is watching this, and of course they are going to be cringing the same way that I might cringe if I was watching you fix a telephone line. This isn't my expertise whatsoever. So yeah, never copy what you see in my videos. Take them purely for entertainment, because I could put my finger on something and maybe get thousands of volts through me. But I believe what I'm doing is safe. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But please don't ever copy me, because it might not actually be safe. And I have shocked myself. In the recent TV video, I got a shock from the LEDs. It happens. So yeah, never copy me, because I might be just lucky and I haven't died yet. You might be unlucky and may die. Oh, look at that. I seen it was angled. You see it was angled like that? So I've loosened up that. And I thought, oh, I wonder whether it will pivot this way. And it does. Wow. Okay. I'll be really careful, because there's an even scarier looking thing there now. That looks very scary, and it's got like a spark plug lead. But anyway, I've got access to the speaker, which is good. If I can free this up from the spark plug lead without killing myself, I'll be happy. Come on. Yes, I feel slightly safer now. So now I can trace, you know, I can trace these two, see where these two go to. So first things first, let's see if we have a reading on the speaker, like an ohms reading, then we know the speaker itself is okay, because maybe the speaker's faulty. Don't think so, because the headphone jack doesn't appear to be working either. Right, 15 ohm speaker. So the speaker is going to be okay. Well, I tell you what we could do. We know that the jack at the back is also an input, yeah? Next to the phono. So why don't we go from there? Because maybe it's not doing anything internally because the jack at the back has failed. Right, so we need to trace the audio circuit, and I'm going to do that with a Bluetooth speaker and a 3.5mm jack. I spend about another hour on this in the evening, and it's very early in the morning. I say evening, it's early morning. I'm going to jump to the next day now, and I'm going to summarise what I did to try to shorten up the video a bit. Otherwise, the video is going to be another 20-25 minutes longer than really it needs to be. So let's jump to the next day, and I'll show you what I was doing to try to find the audio path through this little TV.
The next day.
Right, it's the next day now, and I did spend about another 45 minutes looking at this before going to bed last night, so I had a bit of a late night. But I feel like I've got somewhere, so I just want to explain what I've been doing. So I've been trying to trace the audio circuit, because we know we don't have anything from the headphones. We also know we don't have anything from the speaker as well. Yet we have ohms on the speaker, so you would expect some kind of sound coming from it, but it's completely dead. So basically what I've been doing is I've been going across with my little speaker there, Bluetooth speaker, but I've got a 3.5mm jack attached to it, and I've just been following the circuit from here in, which I'll show you in a minute. But basically from here it goes along here and it goes to the bottom of this volume dial here. Then the volume dial goes across, I think there's a capacitor that's linked to it, but then it goes through this grey wire here. Now on this grey wire, it's actually a coaxial cable, meaning that there's two wires in it. You can see the white wire just there, and it's also got a shield, so it's like a little coaxial cable. So that is like the speaker wire. That goes through here. It took me ages to trace this. Through here up to here. I had to undo this carefully, and it goes on to the top pins here. You can see this is the wire here, although, yeah, sorry, it's black there, but it's grey there. You can see it's grey there. From here it goes directly, if you look at the bottom of the board, it goes directly through. The pins from here just go to these pins here, so it's quite a simple affair, and it goes off on this cable here. So this is the speaker cable here, and eventually that goes round. To me ages to trace that one, because I had to be really careful that I didn't electrocute myself. Also, my eyes are really starting to fail now. Everything's becoming a blur, so I've been wearing my glasses, and it's like watching something from a CRT and going straight to 4K, which is lovely. And anyway, it comes up eventually. I found it, I've got to be really careful here. Eventually I found it coming up here. So basically, see these white wires in there? One of them is the feed. In fact, you can see it there, the grey wire with a little bit of white wire sticking out there. So that's like the shield and the white wire, and it goes into there. And they work their way into this little 8-legged chip here, which I thought, ooh, that might be an operational amplifier, an audio amp, because this is only mono. And normally when I've looked at little op amps before, they've been stereo, so they're going to have more pins. Sure enough, I looked it up. It's an LM386N1, and it's lovely. There's just a massive data sheet on it, so it tells me everything I need to know. It's a mono audio power amplifier. It's got a gain of 20, which is 26 decibels. You can put it all the way up to 200. It goes between 20 and 200, depending if you put a cap or a resistor or both. That's how you change the gain from the pins in between pins 1 and 8. So I don't know what this is set to at the moment. And basically we have it all down here. So we got gain, we got input. So you know my little wires coming from here essentially through the volume control, they're going to be going into the input here. And this is the output, the V out here, because it's only mono, so I've only got the one output. And then pin number 6 here is the voltage in, and the voltage in should be, it says 15 volts max, but it should be between 4 and 12 volts. And for the speaker, so that's the voltage out for the speaker, it should be impedance 4 ohms, but it says it drives loads 4 ohms to 32 ohms, and I think mine was it 15 ohms? I can't remember now. So basically I've got everything I need there. So now I'm just going to take you through, what should I take you through first of all? Let me take you through this, because that's how I even found where these things were going, and also how I know that we've got power going into here, as in the signal going into here. And then I'm going to turn it on. Well, actually I've got to turn it on to do that. I also want to show you that we have voltage in that chip as well. So let me put the camera on a tripod and take you through the steps that I've done and why I think I may know what the problem is. Right, the fun and games begin. So you can't hear anything, but yet you can see Phil's work there, the coder. Looks like he's changing. Is that a Nintendo Switch? That's a Nintendo Switch, isn't it? The MT chip on a Nintendo Switch, I think. Anyway, so you can't hear anything, but it's playing. Obviously, I've got to be super careful. Don't want to be getting a shock. Now, hopefully, you will start to hear. Phil, I hope you don't do me for a copyright strike. Now, here we go. So, turn this on. And I've got a 3.5mm jack plugged into it with just the cables at the end. The black is the ground. I'm just going to be going between black and the white. I could also go between black and red. I don't care about left and right audio. This is mono. So check this out now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go, obviously I know where to go now because I've been messing with it, but I'm going to just take a ground. So for example, I can take this as my ground. I can just rest my ground on here and I can go here.
Right, and the battery.
And you can hear it.
See something on the screen, then I'm going to...
So we know it's okay there. Yeah, so it means the jack's okay. Now, if we come to the bottom of this little volume switch,
that's taking charge.
You can hear it.
And there we go.
If we go to the top of the volume switch, you can hear him, but he's quieter. So let's slide the volume switch up. So that's down, gets quieter.
Battery charging.
There you go, and that's up. So we'll keep that up full. I should really have a capacitor on the end here. So you can hear Phil here with the volume up full. So we know the volume slider switch is working, because if I put it like halfway, you can only just barely hear him. There. Yeah, and now volume up, and you can hear him. Got to be careful actually, I don't know what copyright music he's listening to here. You know, he might have a different thing than me, for example. Right, okay, so anyway, you heard him there. So now we're going to go over to this side, because from here, it just goes on that coaxial cable through the back here. I mean, if you want it to, you can go onto the back to make sure that it's working okay. So I could go here. And here. Yeah, he's still got music on, so I'm just going to fast forward through. Right, it looks like he's speaking again. So again, we've got music back there. So now we're going to go to this top board. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go right on to the input pins here. We're going to go onto the pins 2 and 3, which are the input pins of this little IC. So pins 2 and 3 are up the top here. So I'm going to go here and here.
Say, oh, okay.
And you can hear him.
Boards out to the ultrasonic.
Yeah, so you can hear him there, but there's no sound coming out. And if we go onto the V out on here, you will hear that there's nothing happening. So I'm going to use the same input. The thing is, I can use this input here, I can use the grounds here, and go onto the input here and you'll hear him.
Just to dissipate some of the...
But now when I go onto voltage out, there's nothing. At all. I can't hear anything. Whoops. Got to be so careful. I can't hear anything. There's a hell of a buzz. So even if I do change that operational amplifier chip over, I still may want to change over capacitors, because maybe they're leaking a load of DC or something onto it. Because there is capacitors everywhere and there really is a big buzz, but maybe it will be fine. So now we know that we've got it into the operational chip, the audio amplifier chip, but we haven't got anything coming out of it. So that's going to make you think it's the chip. But how about if it's not getting any voltage? Well, we know that VSS is pin 6. So why don't we get our... Let's turn this off because we don't need this anymore. Why don't we get our multimeter here. And we're going to go between ground and pin 6. So again, I can just use that as my ground. And I'll go on pin 6, which is here. And look what we have. We've got 10.9 volts. If I use the ground here, you still see we've got 10.9 volts. So the chip is getting fed with what looks like the correct voltage. So if the chip's getting fed with the correct voltage, I can just assume, and it's got an input, but there's nothing coming out. All I can presume is that it's gone faulty. Right, apparently this chip here is a really common audio chip for little AM, FM radios, especially battery powered ones, because it doesn't use much energy. Now, I've been having a look because I've got various different things in job lots throughout the years, and I've got loads of 8-pin chips the same size. The problem is all the ones that I've got are all running off 5 volts, and we know that this is running off about 11 volts, and the chip here can go all the way from, 4 to 12 volts here, but the max is 15 volts, while the max on the other chips I've looked at, like 8002B, is 6 volts, but designed to run on 5 volts. And I've had a look at other chips that I have, and spares, you know, from different sound bars and stuff, and yeah, they're 5 volts as well. So unfortunately I am going to have to order them up, but I'm going to do Amazon next day deliveries. Hopefully I won't have to wait ages for them. What I have done is I've found this aerial here. It's completely the wrong size, because if you have a look, can you see that this is designed only to go as far as here, while this one can go all the way down to here. But you don't have to put it all the way to there. You know, if you leave it long, then I think it's better than having a broken one. So basically, if I look at that one there, let's just pull it out, so I'm trying to do it one-handed. That one there looks to be roughly the same size as that. So I think it's going to clip in okay. And I think it'd be better than the broken one, but I will give the original back to Elliot so he can measure up his own one. But you can see it's all broken there. I mean, I know that there's a chance that you can take these out and put them in here, but there's these weird little metal clips on the inside, and when I've tried to repair aerials before, it's never gone well because it ends up being too wide here. Probably why the original fell off in the first place is that this is widened up, and I'd never be able to kind of evenly crimp it all the way around to make it work again. So I'm going to leave that one in for the time being, just for the finish off the video, and then yeah, I'm sure Elliot will be able to buy the correct one, but I think that'd be nicer there. So I'm going to pick up this video again tomorrow, hopefully when the chips have arrived. We'll pop them in. It might be working fine. If there's a massive hum on the line, then I'll have to start working out where that's coming from. But by having the proper chip in there, I might well find that everything's working fine. It could be my Bluetooth speaker that's picking up interference from here. So let's get the proper chip in and see how it's operating.
The next day.
Right, it's the next day now, and my Amazon chips have arrived nice and early, which is good, so I can get soldering them in. I'm going to use these ones here purely because these had quite a few reviews. They're probably the same chips that's in here. You see the LM386 there, but I might as well use this purely because of the reviews, because somebody else was selling for only £1 more, I think, 50 of them. But then when you read the reviews, most people said that most of them were faulty. So I'm not too sure what's going on here. Clearly these are not going to be the branded chips that were in this one, but hopefully they will still do the job. So let's get one popped in and let's see what's happening. Also, I've sorted out the power adapter as well. So I used 2 little heat shrinks, soldered that up, 2 little heat shrinks, and then a massive heat shrink over it here. So that's going to be nice and safe. And just to save any confusion in the future, I've scraped off where it says about the center pin negative and the, well, in this case, center pin positive and outer pin negative, because now this is outer pin positive and center pin negative, so it will force somebody in the future to test this one here, and then hopefully then it won't accidentally blow anything up. I've also put back together the bottom of the TV, the bottom stand as well, and amazingly them little metal buttons do seem to operate quite nicely. So although my tactile switches were a little bit higher, it doesn't seem to have made any difference in this instance. Right, let's zoom in, make sure that we have got the correct chips. LM386, perfect. Right, Right, it definitely doesn't look like the branded chip that was on there. It just looks like it's been scratched in. But anyway, hopefully it will work just fine. I don't think there's anything too amazingly complicated going on the inside. These chips have been around forever. People use them in when they're making their kind of homemade guitar, I presume, pedals, you know, to get a wah-wah pedal. I can't remember what they were called, but you know, like distortion pedals and stuff like that. I haven't said wah-wah pedal since I was about 17. Right, okay, here we go. It's this one here, and I can see it's labelled up number 1 here. So that's fine. So I'm just going to put 1 next to that little, see there's a little sort of bit taken out of the top there? So I know which way, I don't have to take a photo, I know which way to put it in. So let's use the solder sucker, and let's pop this one out. Right, while I'm doing this, I'll shout out to my mate Vince Massive, and it will drown out the background noise. I can't control what goes on in the environment near me, and I'm blessed for the last few weeks to have constant noise, and for the next month or so I'm going to be listening to that noise from 8 in the morning till 5 at night. Lucky me. Right, the My Mate Vince Massive members are Keymon Services, Kip Hakes on YouTube, Max Rokotansky, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeves.com, DJVG, Pixie, Anthony Dean, Russ Melanson, Shigate, Rickard Bergland, Soul Reaver 555, Shamsa Al Sawadi, Stuart Park, Stephen from the Broken Past over on YouTube, Lee Benz, Niall Stone, Operational 117 and AJ Computer Services UK. So, massive thanks, and have a close look now. You can see this chip is about to drop out. Here we go. Ta-da! Fantastic. Right, looks a bit messy, but as soon as I put the isopropyl alcohol on it, it will look beautiful. Ta-da! Look at that. Looks cleaner than it did before. Look at the difference. I think this board might have some sort of conformal coating or something on it. Right, let's get our new chip. Right, you can see that there's a little notch taken out on the board there to indicate as well which way the chip goes on. So I just need to put the notch where the notch is on the white outline. Look at that, straight in. Didn't even have to wiggle any pins. Beautiful. I'm just going to get a little bit of solder on one of the legs, then push up from the other side to make sure it's nice and flat. Right, so I'm going to push up now. There we go. Just going to keep it in place. I just need to solder each of them in. 8 till 5. You know what? Noise doesn't even annoy me. Never has. But you know what does annoy me? And I realise what the problem is. Repetitive noise. If there was a few hammer bangs in there, if there was the sound of wood creaking, or some kind of like pneumatic drill, something else in the mix would be okay. But just hearing an engine going, which is revving when it's working, and then back to ticking over, revving, ticking over all day long. I tell you what it is, torture. There we go. Actually went really, really nice. Very easy to do, that one. So now let's see, is this little chip down here at fault, or is it something else on the board causing it not to work? So let's zoom out. I think I'm just gonna plug it in as it is now, and we should hear the fuzz of the tuning, I think. Well, I'm actually quite apprehensive. Or will this go pop again straight away? Here we go. Please hear some fuzz. Are you ready? You ready? Yes! Brilliant! Oh yes, listen to that! Put the volume up. Ah, the volume down. The volume up. Ah, the volume down. How nice is that? It's working. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with that. Fantastic. Right, let's close this thing up. Oh, happy days. It's just brilliant. I've had quite a few audio chips fail in my little fixing career on YouTube. So we're going to put this all back together now, put the cover back on, and I'm going to run a wet wipe all over it and then a microfiber cloth just to make it look pretty again. While we're doing that, let's relax and listen to some music.
A little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned where I had sometimes played chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage.
Oh, that's how it's connected through. That's quite clever. I was wondering why there's a ball down here and you screwed this onto it here. And it's because obviously this moves. So you need to be able to have the ball moving, and that's why you've just got that finger on top, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to rotate this. It's nice that.
At the next table, your whiskey neat. The lights were dimmed as our eyes met, moves on me. And forevermore, I like to share that vintage stream.
Oh, there's little scales here. VHF up the top, and then it says UHF down the bottom. So that will help me it will help me tune it in when I go to my little RF modulator. What I'm not sure about is though that my RF modulator is going to be made for PAL. So I don't actually know if I'm going to be able to get a signal on this on RF. Right, okay, let me do some tuning in. Also, we have a visual indication down here, a little sticker. I thought it might be LEDs, and I thought that might be what this indicator's for, so I still don't understand what the indicator's for. But if you have a look, it's like brightness, you can see it's different scales of grey. Then colour is red, pink and white. Hue is green, yellow and red. So it just gives you a little kind of visual indication, as well as written here, what each of them do. It's very nice. It has been cut out from the video. The headphone jack is working, but I didn't find a nut for it. I tried using a circlip, it wasn't going anywhere near it. So Elliot does have to find a nut in order to keep it out. Well, there we go. It's looking okay, isn't it? Behold, the world's smallest Trinitron. That is a thing of absolute beauty, and I don't think anybody can disagree. Who would not want one of them? Even though it's not practical nowadays, you know you want one. Look at it. I'd love to know how much these things go for. I can't find any for sale at the moment. I think we're talking hundreds rather than tens of pounds. Anyway, first of all, let's get it connected up to RF. So I have my Nintendo Switch. I've got it going into a converter to take it from digital to analog. So HDMI to composite on the RCA phonos. It goes into this little RF modulator. And then from here, you could connect it up to aerials and boost it again in order to get the signal to there. But in this video, I'm not going to do it because I want to show you it working actually via the composite on the back, because I have that option. But I've just for the moment just tapped that onto the aerial there. I've only used a single wire, so I know reception is not going to be good. But anyway, I have managed to get a picture. So let me show you. Now I can't get any sound out of it because it's too fuzzy, but check this out. Are you ready now? Bearing in mind that I'm sure nothing's been displayed on this apart from early on in the video. A picture can't have been displayed on this in RF, I would say, for at least 20 years. I think this has probably been put up in the attic sometime, probably 1990 or something like that, and then left there. So it could even be 35 years since anything's been on here. You ready? It does move around a bit because we haven't got rubber at the bottom. So you can see the picture there. We're currently on red here, and I'm going to be using the little tuning wheel, and you can see the red's moving along. So on the red channel, which is VHF low, we don't have anything. Now let's go over to the yellow channel, which is VHF high. You can see we've gone yellow here, little yellow lights here, and now let's go the other way. And you can see again, we don't have anything. Now let's go over to UHF, which is the green one, and we have a little green light here. Did you hear the nice click on those buttons? I'm going to go slow. So we've got our modulator over there set to channel 57, and we're on UHF, so 57 is going to be around about here somewhere, because if you look at the little guide, it will, it's just written. So 57 is going to, well, that's 60, that's 50. There's a massive difference between 50 and 60. So maybe that's where you can get finer frequencies. But the dot in the middle, I presume, is 55, so it should be just past that dot there. Here we go. Move it along. Move it along. We're getting to 50 now. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What do I spy? What do I spy? Let's play it. I spy Elliot from the Retro Future, the one that gave me this. Right, let me just try to get that in a bit better. Remember, I've just got a wire attached. There you go, look at that. You can hopefully see, oh, it's not coming across in the camera at all, is it? Remember, I've only got a wire attached to the top, but you can clearly see that it's working. I feel like I'm Mr. Bean. Every time I move, it goes good. I move again, it goes bad. But anyway, you can see it, hopefully you can see it there. There you go, you can see a bit of colour. Right, let's get it over to composite so we can actually see what we're doing.
But Sean had only planned to just give this to his son's side lamp or something. So he
look at that.
To know. With the whole thing now in two halves.
Oh, it's flickering so bad on the camera. Look at that. Volume.
We need to get this right down to the bare bones and see what's left of the wood.
So you can hear there that the volume is working good. Look at that. It looks much nicer with my eyes than it does through the camera.
With everything now apart, it's time to assess the situation.
Isn't that lovely?
And it's not good.
Pretty clear. And if you mess around down here, you can kind of get it more crisp and stuff.
There's chunks of wood missing everywhere. And unfortunately, Nintendo have opted to use the worst of all woods.
Look at that.
Glued together with hope. And the hope has been lost somewhere in the last 3 decades. Perhaps somewhere in an abandoned warehouse.
There you go, it's working. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's get the camera set up so hopefully there's less flicker. Let's end with a little bit of gameplay. What should we do? A bit of Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES. Let me get the virtual one set up on a Nintendo Switch, and let's end with a bit of gameplay. Right, I'm going to do Nintendo Entertainment System because it's the closest age to this, and I'm going to do RC Pro-Am because that reminds me of being a kid, but I can't remember what I played it on. Right, here we go. Turn on. Oh, it's just so beautiful. Why does it not look nice through the camera? Let's try to get the camera set up right in front of it. There you go. Oh, come on. I know I keep saying it, but remember that flicker isn't there with my eyes. Oh, listen to the sound. Hold on, what do I do? Right, I'm the red one. First place. Missed that. Got the tyre. Second place, third place. Uh-oh. Come on. Got to do this justice, I've got to get first. Oh no. Oh, seconds. Let's do another round. Got to end. I've got to end on a high. I've got to end on first. Annoying, something's come up at the bottom of the screen. Oops. Can't see my track properly. As you can tell, I like to make excuses. Seconds, third. Third! No! How do I get rid of that? Oh, it's gone. This time. Bad start. Yes, that was good. Need to remember to do that next round. Oh, sugar. No, wrong way. Oh, come on. What's going on? Yes, come on, come on. One more round. I'm in first. Comfortably in first. Second. Third. First. Come on. Ah! You're getting bored now. 2 laps. I'm not happy with this constant exploding. Oh, Vince. I think only a miracle is going to get me past this one. Ah, the story of my life. Close, but never close enough. Right, okay. Oh, do you know what? That might be my thumbnail. Look at that there. That just looks so nice. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to do it justice through the camera. You just have to trust me that it just looks really, really nice. Just looking at it with your own eyes. Let's just go to the Nintendo Switch screen. There we go. Well, I'm so happy. I don't know why, but that was one of my most enjoyable ones for a long time. I think it's because I think the buttons was quite inventive. I'm quite proud of that there, and it's something that other people can replicate easy on their one, and I think it appears to be working okay. Did I show you these buttons working before in the video? I don't know if I did. Let me unplug the back for a minute. So if you go over to here, I think you've got to go to automatic, I think. Automatic, and then if you do there, you see it goes that way, then if you do there, it goes this way, but I still don't know what indicator does. I have no idea, so if you could put down in the comment section what indicator does. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. Massive thanks to Elliot for sending this in. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.